guys, time to record my film reveal video. I've been back from my trip for about a week now. I just picked up my film from the lab. I've got 9 sheets of slide film, and I've got 7 sheets of color negative film. And I honestly have no real clue what to expect here. This is an absolutely brand new area for me to photograph, and I don't really know the best as far as technique, as far as focus, as far as which film does which. So I'm kind of going into this fearing the worst, but I'm hoping I'll get at least something out of it. So that all being said, let's dig into the box of E6 and see what we got. Now I should mention that the film is all in protective sleeves, so I can actually handle it quite well here. Sometimes people are concerned that I'm just like tossing my film around, but that's not the case. All right, first one. Well, the good news is I don't hate it. This is Provia. I did a lot of Provia there. This is a path along one of the creeks there, and I was filming some video around the corner, and I turned around and I saw this, and that was pretty cool. But it was a pretty chaotic scene. So let's see if I was able to achieve focus. You know, it seems to be pretty decent. My exposure is a little bit hot, but it's kind of where it needs to be in order to not lose the shadows. And I have this on color negative as well. But this area is a little bit bright, but it's okay. I thought I would hate that shot. And that's the one I kind of went into expecting that it might not be quite what I was hoping for, but it's actually not bad. And then Provia did really well with the colors. It's very accurate. Nice vivid greens, no color cast, and just that appealing bit of light right around the corner there, which is something I usually try to strive for somewhat because it kind of pulls you into the scene, but not too shabby. And that photo was about 50 feet from the road. It's kind of crazy, my second camera is already on the verge of overheating here. All right, so we got the tree here. And this is as the fog's rolling in. Again, not bad. Provia, so Provia did pretty well there. I focused more or less on the tree itself and stopped down to f45. I didn't care so much about getting the immediate foreground sharp. I hope to get some of those trees back there sharp. It's actually kind of nice. That is very sharp. I have really good sharpness all the way out to the background, and I've got a really ideal exposure there. It's pretty cool. I like the fact that there's some diagonal emphasis to those trees. I'm digging it. I really like the way that this trunk stood out from the rest of them, so it gives a little more of a sense of emphasis. But I like that. Not bad. Not bad. So this is the first scene I shot, and this one's a little too chaotic. The trees are kind of blended into each other. My thought was that these trees right here would stand out a bit, and they do, but I really wish I had a little more differentiation between those trees. It's not bad, but I was just trying to balance the best of what I could out there. I don't get the extreme foreground sharp, but that's fine. That's not really to be expected. Let's see how I did for sharpness overall. I'm okay on the foreground tree. And I'm okay on the background tree. I don't really know if it's truly sharp. I suspect I'm off by just a little bit. I did a focus stacked version of this one as well on color negative. I'm really sharp back here. I'm pretty good through here. I'm just a little out right here. I think I might be okay back there. But good to see that I did my exposure right, so there's always that. And Provia handled the light quite nicely. The greens are nice and vivid. They're not over the top. I think Velvia probably would be. Again, I don't hate it, but the previous one I just showed you was a bit better. Just because these trees I think need a little more definition. Maybe it's like a foggy day scenario where that would stand out well, but again, I don't hate it. It's not bad. So here's another variation of that scene. And this one, also kind of misty and foggy. Now if I compare it to the previous version, I'll see if there's any profound differences between them. Now one thing I noticed right away is that this tree is a little lighter on here than on here. And I think it's because there's just a little more, there's a little more fog in this one. So this one's a little more foggy, a little more atmosphere, a little more of that Simon Baxter approach. But I will have to probably scan those. But I like the feel of that. Now here's the thing, that photo was one where I had the first sort of feeling of sort of that Zen sort of moment when I was out there. Definitely like it with a little more mist in there. But of all the scenes I shot, I mean, this one, it wasn't raining on me at the time. I like that. Provia did well. All right, next up. So this is a scene that was kind of a, I didn't think too much about this one. I was just kind of wandering around the trail and this caught my eye. But it works pretty well. Again, I'm not gonna get those foreground ferns completely sharp. But I really like the light on that tree and the fact that it's a side light. The side light is quite nice. Then you have kind of the darker tree, a little bit more light there. So the trees aren't all just even and exactly the same. Again, this one is shot on Provia. And on this one, I think I focused more or less on this tree here and figuring that these trees are sort of the important ones. I'm a little bright there, but let's see how we did for exposure. I've got a good exposure there. So I'm actually in decent shape with that. And the foreground trees I'm actually pretty decent on as well. So I actually have sufficient depth of field there. Again, it's a photo I don't hate, which is good. I almost feared that there'd be some like crazy issues with like color cast or stuff. I probably burned down that corner there a little bit there. But that's nice. It's very calm, focuses your attention right in the middle. Because again, the eye is drawn to light colored subjects. And that's pretty nice. And I also shot this on color neg. So in case I'm getting a little too bright there, a little too dark there, but it's very calm. Something about verticals, strong verticals, instills really a sense of calm. And I think that really comes through in a place like the Redwoods. That's pretty, I like that. Next up, so here is the non-misty, and this is Velvia. So this is kind of what I feared a little bit about using Velvia up there because it's a little too punchy. Too much contrast, too much saturation. There's no mist in this scene, but it just starts looking a little funky back in there. And this is one of the reasons why I was actually avoiding using Velvia on this trip. Though the color turned out okay as far as like how neutral it is, but just a little too gritty. Provia is definitely the better choice. Now at this point there's also a little bit of wind. So see these guys moving here anyways. And that's the other reason why I was using Provia, because Provia you don't really have to account for reciprocity failure until you have a really long exposure. Velvia, you have to use it right away, so that 50 speed film becomes really slow compared to the 100 speed film. But yeah, definitely glad I went with Provia. Velvia just overdid that, which is what I figured it might do. And here's another variation of that scene. And again, here's a kind of a good comparison here. Provia versus Velvia. Velvia just does not do well for that scene. Provia, though, it's beautiful. The other variations I have of this one will do better, the ones that have all the mist. But also you can see got a little bit of movement there too, so I did better with those earlier exposures. But I'm very glad I used a lot of Provia. That's for sure. All right, next up, we got my rock on the beach. And Velvia, I think, took this one a little too far. I should have done Provia on this. These rocks are all wet. It was actually raining as I shot this. And I could probably desaturate a little bit, but the one of these is gonna be a little darker than the other. This is a little darker here. This is actually a little better exposure. It's not bad, but I think I need to desaturate things a little bit. But just the rocks were very gray when they were dry, but since it rained a lot on the trip, and it was raining a fair amount when I was there at the beach there, all the color came out of the rocks. It's so beautiful. And so I was walking around trying to find sort of a rock that stood out from the other, so I found this one. And the only thing that bugs me about it a little bit, I shot it intentionally this way, is if you flip it around upside down, there's like a kind of a disapproving face in that rock there. So, but it's decent. Let's check the sharpness.
Yeah, it's okay. I knew depth of field was going to be an issue. So it's fine.
But basically this rock sticks out above the other rocks. So depth of field is a little bit of an issue if you want to get all these other rocks here sharp as well as that rock. You really can't. You have to kind of choose between the two of them. So I have it where the focus is mostly on these ones, and the plane of focus kind of slices through that rock. So as I stop down, I gain some of that sharpness back, but the top parts of the rock, not quite as sharp as the rest, but it's kind of a decision I made just kind of to do the best of both worlds. But exposure is good, so that's nice. But I don't know. We'll see. It's decent. So that is all of the color slide film. I certainly didn't expose a lot of slide film when I was there. I shot a lot of color negative though. Now this one I realize is gonna be kind of hard for you guys to see what's going on, but hopefully it'll be all right. I'll go through this pretty fast. All right, so this is that tree photo with all the ferns. And I have, I think, 3 variations of this because I tried like a focus stack thing with it. But I just don't know that I'm in love with the photo that much anyways. But what I can do is I scan the color negative and then see how that compares. Because maybe just the fact that it was slide film makes it not as great. But also, I mean, it's about light. And here, I mean, I have a good exposure. We're looking at the brightest areas right there, which is the darkest area of the negative. That's where the little sky is shining through there. But we're just looking at the bright areas, the dark areas, and you can't tell too much by looking at it, other than the fact that you got pink ferns, which is kind of cool, I suppose. All right, next up, same scene. Again, one of these is just a normal photo, and then the other 2 are kind of a focus stack, so we don't really need to look at that one again. And then this one what is this photo? Ah, okay, so this is a wide angle I shot with the intention of making it into a panoramic. Forgot about this one. So the idea was to crop off some of the bottom, crop off some of the sky, and end up with just a panoramic photo like that. I'll have to scan this one in and see. Maybe this scene just begs more for a panoramic photo as opposed to just a traditional aspect ratio. And this one, there's some weirdness going on. I don't know what, but there's some weirdness. It's tack sharp here. It's not sharp over here. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. It's a photo that was kind of more experimental anyways. It doesn't look like wind. It looks like the camera got bumped, but only part of it. So I'll have to scan that one to see what's going on. I don't know on that one. Okay, so here's that scene with the tree. This is a non-Misty version of that. Not that I can tell by looking at this, but I just know because I didn't shoot this one when it's Misty. But this will be an interesting one to scan, just to do a comparison. I do see some motion right there. And some motion right there. So there's some wind movement there. But I think the Misty ones will be the better one for these guys. All right, next up, another variation of that scene. I don't really need to look at that one. Just know that it was either the focus stacked pair or the regular ones. And then here's this scene. Now this is one I'll be very curious to scan because the Provia version of this one was pushing the limits a little bit right in there, though I think it'll be just fine. And
I do have a little bit of wind movement on this guy. Not a big deal. Kind of adds to the ambiance a little bit.
But I'm glad I have this on color neg. My philosophy out there was to shoot everything on both slide and on color neg because I wanted to have, first of all, I wanted to learn what film did best. But also I wanted to have a backup because color neg can be a little harder to work with sometimes. It's harder to see what you have sometimes, but it can save a shot. So having it on both films, I think, was a good call. So I look forward to scanning that one and seeing how that one looks. But I think the Provia will certainly be fine. Last up, so here's the same scene as that first one, the first just slide film. Again, this one's on Kodak Ektar, and yeah, it's hard to tell too much from this. But I know that the sheet of Provia handled the scene quite well, so this should also do well. I'll just get probably a little more detail on some of those highlights. And there you go. This was very interesting, and I honestly did not know what to expect going into this because this is photographing a completely new area for me, and there's a lot of challenges ranging from not being able to see the ground glass for focusing, you know, things condensing and rain falling, and my video microphone got soggy a couple times, so I'll have to do some creative voiceover work. But once you kind of have a certain skill set as far as knowing what light it is you're looking for, what kind of subjects it is you're looking for, I think that's something that kind of transcends from one environment to the next. And I'd say I walked away from this trip with 2, maybe 3 shots, which is pretty decent. I think I photographed 5 different scenes, so that's not bad. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this. And because I thought maybe there'd be issues with like weird color casts on everything or bad exposures, but it actually all worked out pretty well. But as of the time of recording this, I still have not been out to Utah on my backpacking trip. I'm really hoping to do that because the weather is starting to look pretty good in the coming weeks. So I still hope to go out there and just spend some time exploring now that the pressure is off. I don't have the pressure on me anymore to go out and take pictures that I'm really happy with. So I'll be able to go out there, explore and experiment a little bit and kind of venture off the beaten path and see what I can find out there. So I'm really hoping that works out. But I want to thank everyone for watching, and we'll see you around next time. If you enjoy this ad-free and clickbait-free content and want to help me live my dream, A voluntary contribution of just $24 a year helps keep my gas tank full and my film freezer stocked. For more information on how to support me and my work, please visit the donation section of my website at benhorn.com/donate. I also have prints and my portfolio box set available on my website. You can find a direct link down below in the show notes. Thanks in advance for your support.